Welcome to Power Your E-commerce Business, the go-to series for busy entrepreneurs like you. I know a lot of you are interested to figure out the problems, let's say, of warehousing in Amazon, especially if you want to sell beyond Amazon, if you want to sell on Amazon and on Noon and on your own website and other marketplaces. What is the option for you to be able to warehouse your products externally and professionally with service providers? That's why I'm very, very excited to introduce you, if you don't already know him, to Rayan Osseiran, who is the founder of Shorages. Hi, Rayan.
Hi, Crystal. How are you?
Very good. Very excited. Because congratulations,
Likewise.
You guys now are officially also supporting all e-commerce sellers, not only in the UAE, but also in Saudi Arabia. Such a great move. Congratulations. I know it was very, very tough to be able to do it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And it's something that I'll also touch upon in the presentation later today. I'm sure a lot of the people participating would want to know what is the best way to kind of enter the Saudi market, especially on Amazon. Stay on the call. I know there have been a lot of speakers so far, so probably people
everybody is excited for you. Don't worry. Exactly. So let me just add your slides on the screen. You'll be able to control them yourself, and the floor is all yours.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. So before I kind of dive into Shorages and what Shorages does, I'd like to start off with what the problem is. So if you are a brand or you're thinking of launching a brand within the region, you're probably going to face a lot of issues, especially when it comes to operations. First of which being warehouses are expensive spaces to rent and operate. And in places like the UAE or Saudi Arabia, you always need special permissions to even rent warehouses in the mainland part of the country. So that's usually the first problem that brands face. The second thing is spending time on inventory management, picking, packing is time consuming. So I'm sure all of you here have had situations where you're stuck at home late at night, packing orders, labeling them, waiting for the courier to arrive, whether at home or in self-storage warehouses or in traditional warehouses. So that's the second problem that we see brands usually facing. The third thing, if you are a brand that is currently based outside of the GCC and you're shipping products into the GCC, I'm sure you've seen how expensive and time-consuming it is to ship individual orders and individual products into the region. And last but not least, at least what we saw, is that traditional logistics companies are usually not very accommodating for SMEs and small sellers, and they're usually overcharging for their services when they are open to accommodating you. So before I started Shorages, these were my personal experiences as an e-commerce seller myself. And the reason why we started Shorages as a fulfillment center is to tackle these problems and to solve the problems from a logistics lens that e-commerce companies face. So essentially, Shorages is a fulfillment center. And in order to introduce fulfillment centers, what I like to say is that we focus on the dirty stuff so that you guys can keep innovating and driving sales. As an online seller, we believe that you should be focusing on product innovation, marketing your product, branding your company, increasing your digital presence. As you know, Crystal mentioned earlier that you need to be visible everywhere. I fully agree with that. And finally, customer satisfaction is another point to focus on. Whereas us as fulfillment centers, we handle the high-stress jobs, which have to do with storing and keeping track of your inventory. So we receive your products from China, from Turkey, from wherever, store them in our fulfillment centers, and then we integrate with your sales channels, whether you're selling on Amazon or your website or Noon or Magento. We will find a way to connect all of these platforms into one platform so that you can distribute from there. Once you start receiving your orders from your different channels, we then pick and pack the orders for delivery, and finally we deliver them to the customer. So that, in short, is what Shorages does, and what fulfillment centers do in general, for those who are not familiar with that. So fulfillment centers are really a great way of centralizing omni-channel sales. So as I said earlier, whether you're receiving sales from different websites or different marketplaces, including Amazon, Shopify, and the likes, one benefit and major benefit of a fulfillment center is that you get to centralize all of that into one single location, so that you have one source of inventory, one source of orders, one source where you can track everything. And from the fulfillment center, you can then push orders either to customers, whether you're delivering, for example, Amazon FBM, or if you're delivering direct to the customer, fulfillment centers can support with that. But also fulfillment centers can have B2B shipments, such as those to marketplaces or retailers. So if you're selling with Amazon FBA, the role of a fulfillment center will be to act as a basically Amazon FBA prep center, where we can label the products, we can consolidate the products, and then ship everything out to Amazon warehouses or different marketplaces. Moving on to retailers as well. So very similar to Amazon FBA orders, if you need orders delivered to retail stores as well, fulfillment centers can assist with that. And finally, if you want to deliver to international customers, such as those maybe in the GCC or in the US or in France, usually a fulfillment center has preferred rates with international courier companies. So you might be able to actually deliver your products globally at a lower cost due to the volumes that you get from working with a fulfillment center. So moving on, in terms of how can all of this actually help concretely, what we see is that actually working with a fulfillment center first helps you save time and money. So at Shorages, we store, pick, pack, and deliver your inventory for you, and we guarantee that this is done at a quality service and a quality price. One thing that I also touched upon earlier is that fulfillment centers benefit from economies of scale. So we tend to be able to do things much faster and get better shipping contracts and get better warehousing contracts because we're consolidating all of this volume. So I definitely wouldn't approach it in a way where, if I do this myself, I'll be saving money. With logistics, it's not always the case. You might want to reach out, see what price you can get, and then compare which would make more sense to you. Another benefit is the order automation process. So instead of wasting time packing orders, tracking orders, waiting for couriers, fulfillment centers really help streamline this process so that you don't have to put in a lot of time into the operation and rather direct your time towards more growth factors related to the business, like marketing. The third benefit is, even if you're outsourcing, you can still keep your brand if you're delivering, for example, branded parcels. Fulfillment centers are able to customize the packaging so that they use your packaging material, your box, your mailer bag, so that the customer will still receive your brand, whereas their operation is kind of more in the back, similar to cloud kitchens where you get food delivered, but you don't necessarily know whether or not it's coming from a cloud kitchen. And the fourth and final benefit is that fulfillment centers help you unlock new countries, new geographies, and even new marketplaces. By partnering with different freight forwarders and different courier companies, we're able to actually open up different markets for you as a e-commerce seller. Now, when you're out there looking for different fulfillment centers, you'll come across probably different types of services, and these are some of the main ones that you should be looking out for. The first two is importer on record and product registration. Basically, what you're looking for here is if you don't have the means to import the products under your own company license, and you don't have the means to actually register the products under your own company license, some fulfillment centers out there will provide this as a service, where they will act as either an importer on record, or also known as a merchant on record, to act as the consignee for the shipment which you are importing. And if you have products which require registration, then that consignee or importer on record will also be responsible for registering your products to make sure that they comply with the local laws and the local authorities. So in the UAE, for example, if you want to import cosmetics or food or beauty products or health products, all of these would need to be registered under Muntaji, and would have to follow that process. The next service, which is quite obvious, is the warehousing. So traditionally, a fulfillment center would need to provide you with warehousing. And finally, the fulfillment and delivery, which is the order preparation and delivery of your goods. Some important questions to ask here would be to ask, what is the turnaround time for fulfillment? What is the delivery time for delivery? Because this will impact how quickly your customers receive the product. So in some cases you can have same day delivery, in some cases you have next day delivery, or it could be much longer than that depending on the fulfillment operation. The final thing that you want to look out for, and probably in my personal opinion the most important thing, is to actually look at what kind of tech you'll have access to when you're working with different fulfillment centers. Unfortunately, there are some companies out there which will heavily rely on WhatsApp and emails and manual forms of communication to manage the business. So whenever you have an order, just drop me an email or WhatsApp me. This should be a red flag for everyone out there, because it's not a way in which any fulfillment operation should be run on. Instead, what you should actually look for is to make sure that when you're working with a fulfillment center, they're going to give you access to a platform where you can either integrate orders, create orders, view all of your inventory in real time, talk to the team, track the orders, and basically have full visibility on your orders and your inventory on this dashboard. So that in case you're receiving complaints from a customer, or the customer is calling you, you can simply log in and view all of the information that you need at the tip of your fingertips, instead of having to email or WhatsApp or wait for someone to call you back. So definitely look at the tech. Don't undermine the tech. Make sure that you're getting it. Now, the last thing that I want to also touch upon is basically Shorages. As Crystal announced earlier, we recently launched in KSA. And one product which we are actually launching on January 10 is the Amazon UAE to KSA. What this essentially means is, if you have products stored in the UAE, we can ship them to Shorages facilities in the UAE. And from there, the idea is to deliver them to Amazon warehouses in KSA. And you wouldn't need a license for this, because, as I discussed earlier, it falls under the importer on record service being provided. So this will essentially allow you to ship products from the UAE to KSA, so that you can expand the number of products you have in your KSA Amazon store. Now, the usual follow-up question is, but don't I need a license to sell in Amazon KSA and UAE? Well, this depends. If you already have an Amazon store in the UAE, you will not need a license to set up an Amazon store in KSA. And this is thanks to a great feature that the Amazon team have, which is called Build International Listings, or BIL. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there on BIL and how to build international listings, so I won't deep dive on that, but make sure to look into it. I'm sure Crystal also has probably a video on that, which basically says that if you have an eligible license or account from any of these countries, including the UAE, you can set up your KSA store. And similarly, this is the list for the UAE, very large list. If you want to see all the countries, we have a blog on it here as well. But yes, there's a lot of material out there on how you can actually launch your KSA store without actually needing a Saudi license. And then by using this service, you can ship the products into KSA. So yeah, I'll close on that to leave some time for some questions. But that's Shorages. We help you unlock e-commerce fulfillment. The best way to reach us is honestly going to our website, click on the Get a Quote button, or email us on info@shorages.com, and someone will give you a call back within 24 hours from our team to respond to all the questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Rayan. I also am very, very excited that you have or are going to be launching the UAE to KSA service in January 10th. So on behalf of all sellers, thank you so much. This is going to be a very much needed service. And as you also know, Rayan, a lot of people always ask about tools that they can use to analyze product demand, product success on Amazon in KSA. And I'm very excited to announce that the very first really great software that has launched as of a couple of days ago is AMZ Scout. And we have Kelly from AMZ Scout in about 30 minutes, and she's going to walk you through all of that. So now there's absolutely no more excuses for someone. They'll be able to figure out whether or not they should sell their products on Amazon quite easily in KSA, of course. So, Rayan, one question which I saw repeated, and I think that would be kind of interesting. Aditya and Nina are asking, related to if they are doing FBM, what can they do to reduce shipping charges in the UAE? As I'm guessing they're talking about the easy ship charges.
Definitely. I mean, 14 dirhams shipping charges sounds like the standard within the UAE. Unfortunately, like there is no way to bring this down significantly, as like this is labor, this is time, this is fuel, it's the driver's time, etc. So what I've seen personally on a lot of videos is how do you actually increase the value of the products that you're selling, and one way of doing so is by bundling. So if you're selling, for example, common household item, just bundle it so that it's something someone will use within 6 months rather than within 1 month. And then your basket size, instead of being 50 dirhams, is actually 200 dirhams. And that way, not only do you get to sell more, but you also increase your profit margin. So I wouldn't say how would you achieve profit is not by necessarily bringing down the cost, but by actually offering the customer more value for what they're getting.
That's a great answer, by the way.